I showed up to Thanksgiving dinner at my parents' house like they'd invited me to, and my dad took one look at me standing on the porch, said, "Get off my property," and dialed 911 while my entire family watched through the dining room window. My mom stood behind him with her arms crossed. My brother smirked like this was the best entertainment he'd had all year. I didn't move, just stood there holding the apple pie I'd made. "I'm calling the police," my dad said louder. "You're trespassing. You invited me 2 weeks ago. You texted me the time." "That was before," my mom said coldly. "Before what?" "Before they found out I knew the truth. 3 months ago, my grandmother died, left everything to my parents, her house, her savings, her stocks, about $2 million total. My parents told everyone she'd wanted it that way, that she'd changed her will before she died. But I'd visited my grandmother every week for 5 years, right up until the end, and she told me exactly what was in her will. She'd split everything 3 ways, me, my brother, my parents. After the funeral, I asked to see the will. My parents said no, said it was private, said I needed to respect their grief. That's when I knew something was wrong. I hired a lawyer, requested a copy from probate court. It's public record. What I found made my blood boil. The will had been changed 2 weeks before my grandmother died, when she was on heavy medication, barely conscious. My parents had taken her to a lawyer, had a new will drawn up, left everything to them. My lawyer said it was textbook undue influence, possibly fraud. My grandmother wasn't mentally competent to change her will at that point. We filed a contest, started an investigation. That's when my parents cut me off, blocked my number, told the whole family I was greedy, that I was disrespecting my grandmother's wishes. My brother backed them up. They'd promised him a cut if he stayed on their side. But then, they made a mistake. They invited me to Thanksgiving, a group text to the whole family, trying to look like the bigger people, like they were extending an olive branch. I accepted immediately. What they didn't know was that I'd spent 3 months building an airtight case, bank records showing suspicious transfers right before my grandmother died, medical records proving she wasn't competent, testimony from her doctors, her neighbors, her friends. I also had something else, something I'd found in my grandmother's house before my parents cleared it out, a video, filmed by my grandmother 6 months before she died, crystal clear, mentally sharp, stating exactly how she wanted her estate divided, 3 ways, equal shares. My lawyer had filed everything with the court that morning, emergency motion to freeze the estate, accusations of fraud and undue influence, the video as evidence. The hearing was scheduled for Monday. My parents had no idea. So when my dad called the cops, I smiled and stayed right where I was on that porch. The officers showed up 10 minutes later. My dad explained I was trespassing, showed them the text uninviting me that he'd sent that morning. I showed them the original invitation, explained I'd driven 3 hours, that I'd brought food. The officers looked annoyed. "This is a civil matter. We can't remove someone from a dinner invitation dispute." My dad's face went red. "Then arrest her for something else." "Sir, calm down." That's when I pulled out my phone, showed the officers the court documents I'd filed that morning. "My parents committed fraud against their dying mother," I said, "and I filed charges this morning, so you might want to make note of this address for Monday." My dad's face went white. My mom grabbed his arm. "What is she talking about?" I looked directly at both of them. "I'm talking about the will you had Grandma sign when she was on morphine and couldn't think straight. The will where you cut me and everyone else out and took everything." My dad's mouth opened, but nothing came out. "I found the video she made 6 months earlier," I continued, "when she was completely lucid, explaining exactly how she wanted things divided. 3 ways, equal shares." My mom's hand went to her mouth. "I have her medical records proving she wasn't mentally competent when you took her to sign the new will. I have bank records showing you started transferring her money into your accounts 2 days after she signed. I have statements from her doctor, her neighbors, and her attorney saying she'd told them for years what she wanted." The officers were watching now. One of them had pulled out a notepad. "My lawyer filed an emergency motion this morning to freeze all the estate assets and remove you as executors. The judge reviews everything Monday at 9 a.m. My father was shaking. My mother had tears running down her face. "The will," I said quietly. "Grandma's video, the medical records, all of it. The judge sees it Monday morning."